You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com. Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Joining me on the Newsmaker line is the IZW Heavyweight Champion of the World. He is CSJ Can't Stop Jamal. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I am. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. It really is. And I've seen you the last few times I've been at IZW, and there's a lot there. You got a lot of talent, and winning that world title had to be huge for you. What did, at Monster, winning the three-way match and coming away as the IZW champion mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm not going to lie. That's actually my first world championship. So it was a pretty big deal. It was a really fun match. I know Evan worked his ass off that entire run that he had. And Parada, of course, picked up a great fight. But it means a lot to me, honestly, that there's a lot of trust in me to carry that.
Very cool. And, of course, you're going to be defending. We'll get back to that in a little bit, but you're going to be defending it coming up in just this weekend, as a matter of fact. Wow, time is moving quickly.
Time is moving, yes it is.
Yes, it is. You got a Bryn Thorne coming up at Legends Never Die, and that is going to be an interesting match for a lot of different reasons. We'll come back and talk about that towards the end of the interview, but do you mind if I ask you how you ended up in this crazy world of professional wrestling?
Yeah, definitely. I followed wrestling all my entire life. This, honestly, and I know this sounds cliche, but it's really all I've ever wanted to do. I started watching wrestling around 8 years old, and probably by 10, I decided, I want to be a wrestler. Little did I know what I was getting into, but I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly, because I've waited for this my entire life.
Very cool. Was there a specific wrestler that jumped out to you that you were like, oh, this guy is just... Everything about him just inspires me. Was there any favorites of yours?
Interesting enough, the first wrestler I was really, really into was the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. Okay, that's an interesting choice.
Because it was actually SmackDown versus Raw 2007 that got me into wrestling. Because my neighbor had the game, so I would go over there and play it all the time. And just the character of the Boogeyman really just stood out to me because he was so different than everybody else.
That's very cool. And you were trained. I'm trying to think in my head if he was on the roster of that. I don't know if he was, but 2008 would have been around his time. Anyway, I'm talking about JTG was your main trainer. I heard that in the commentary of some of the matches I've watched preparing for this. What was it like learning under JTG, and what nuggets of wisdom did he give you as you ventured into pro wrestling?
JTG actually taught me a lot. His brain for the business is his knowledge is just extremely extensive. He honestly taught me how to slow down completely. He worked for WWE for 10 years almost. Mm-hmm. So it was really nice to have that guidance very early in my career. Just because I was able to carry that from early on all the way till now, and it's only going to become more and more refined over time.
Very cool. And they say it's very important that if you're going to get trained, that you got to be trained by somebody who's been to the dance. And obviously, as you said, he was there for a long, long time, longer than most people get to be there.
Right.
All right. There's the kitty. I heard the cat. CSJ is a great name. Can't Stop Jamal. It's definitely interesting because it's not your usual, Bob Smith. It's a name that you're gonna remember when you leave the arena that night. What is the emphasis? Where did that come from to call yourself Can't Stop Jamal?
It's so funny because it actually started as an inside joke between me and some of my friends that I trained with. Because my first year when I started wrestling was a little bit sparkly. And they're like, "Oh, you're like Michael Jackson." So they started calling me like Michael Jackson. That's where the J came from. And then, and I think one of them was trying to compare it to Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, yeah.
Yes, and I don't think he knew that his last name was Banks, but he called him Carlton Smith. So it started as a joke calling me Carlton Smith Jackson. So when I started wrestling, I was like, I should use CSJ, but I didn't know what to do. And one of them was like, easy, Can't Stop Jamal. And I'm like, you're right.
Wow. There you go. That's $1 million idea right there.
Right.
I like it. So the indie scene today, it's a little different than it was a few years ago. There's a lot more promotions starting up all the time. And some of them, obviously, I am talking about AEW, kind of took away some of the indie scene's buzz and all that. But what is the thoughts of the indie scene as we have it now, and especially with the WWE also now starting to sign indie guys, to bring them into pre-developmental stages?
The scene is actually so interesting right now because I think just like everybody has a deep roster, you never know what big name is going to pop up where, and it's always nice to have them in the locker rooms as well because, it's not like they're not watching the shows. And it's great talking to them and hearing about their experiences, just grabbing different nuggets of knowledge from each of them and applying that to my craft going forward as well. But the scene is I think it's booming right now. I don't want to see it die just because, it's creating so many different opportunities for myself and all of my peers just everywhere. Like, wrestling just takes us to such interesting places.
Very cool. A post that I read the other day kind of has been stuck in the back of my head by EJ Sparks, who just suffered a pretty serious injury a couple of weekends ago. And he said, I'm working less shows, but better shows. And it was kind of made me think, is there a lot of shows that, is there a desire on your end to get in the ring as often as possible? Or do you definitely have to be careful and pick the right places to go work?
It's honestly a little bit of both. It kind of just depends on, where it's at and how you're feeling as physically and mentally. A lot of people don't want to talk about the mental part, but it's such a grind. Like, there's some times where, I'm like, okay, let's go on go mode and try to get on as many shows as I can. But there's other times where it's like, maybe I should take a step back and let my body rest because I have this coming up. So I'll, take a few less bookings just so I can be at 100%.
Very interesting. And I mentioned DJ. Have you spoken to him, and how's he doing after that scary injury?
I haven't heard about the injury. What happened to him?
Oh, man, you don't know. Okay. Serious neck injury, apparently a neck sprain. Yeah, a neck sprain, I think was the exact terminology of it. But he posted a picture with himself in the neck brace in a hospital bed, and that was scary to see. And he's off of the card for IZW because he's not cleared to wrestle yet.
Okay.
So
yeah, I saw the match announcement, but I wasn't sure what exactly had happened. That's crazy.
It was a show in Tucson. There was a place, the Rialto in Tucson. They did a show. He was in there with two guys under hoods. I couldn't tell you who they were. And apparently there was a move he did 1 billion times, but he ended up, with them on his face and hurt his neck. So
yeah, you never like to see that at all.
Yeah, man. It's funny you should mention the mental, because that was my next question was going to be, does that ever cross your mind? Like, this could be the night that something bad goes on. Does it ever even creep in your mind, or are you invincible when you go through that, Kurt?
I try to keep that thought out of my head, but of course, I've seen a lot of my friends around me have serious injuries. And it's always tough to see, like one of my good friends, Johnny Robbie, she went through a really tough injury for a minute, that took her out of action for about a year, and I never like seeing my friends go through that. So I try to keep that out of my head going into my matches and try to be as safe as possible and protect myself as well as the person I'm in the ring with, because we never like to see that as wrestlers or as fans.
Very cool. And you're starting to get some opportunities to appear on larger stages. In fact, if you check your Twitter profile, you say, as seen on Ring of Honor. And I did go back and I found that match that you just had a couple months ago on Ring of Honor TV. What was that experience like working for AEW/Ring of Honor?
It was actually quite fun. I've been there twice now. I went in October. It was myself and Dave Dutra versus the Gates of Agony. And then I also had this previous match with Alpha Zoe against Serpentico and Helico. And I think that match was a lot of fun because, we were able to shine a little bit more. And that was actually Angelico's return match to wrestling, he just came back from an injury as well. So it was really nice to, have that moment with him. And, like, the crowd was into it the whole time,
That's really cool. Do you have any aspirations to end up in Ring of Honor or AEW?
I'd love to go anywhere that'll give me some good money.
That's kind of my next question. We did some stuff with PCW out here in Arizona. It's a little closer to my house. I'm in Mesa, Arizona, and one of the guys that I really like there is Class, and I'm sure you've crossed paths with Class over the years. He works a lot in Vegas as well. Mm-hmm. He talked a lot about an 18-month plan. Do you have an 18-month plan? Is there like a goal that you have and a time frame that you want to reach it? Anything like that going on?
I don't necessarily have a time frame on it. Of course I'd love to, have it all happen as soon as possible, but I feel like if I were to put a cap on it, if I don't get there by the time of that end period, then it'll almost be like a mental hit or a little bit of disappointment for myself. I try to carry it each day and try to maneuver and make adjustments as I go, just because everything in this business is always changing and, like, there's stuff always happening. Something's hot, and then, like, a month later, then it's not hot anymore,
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. And you say things are changing, and there certainly has been a lot of changes when it comes to women in pro wrestling. Obviously, there was a time that they were just, arm candy, and now they are in the ring, and as we know now, you were going to be facing one in the main event of Legends Never Die. You're going to be defending the title against Bryn Thorne, who won the Monster Battle Royal. What is your thoughts about intergender wrestling and getting in there with somebody like Bryn, who's considerably smaller than you?
So intergender, I do a lot of intergender matches actually out here in Las Vegas. I enjoy the progression that the business is seeing right now with the introduction of intergender wrestling over the past few years, just because I think it creates a lot of opportunities, not just for the women, but for the men as well, to challenge themselves to have different styles of matches than they're used to. And also, like, I think it's just really cool because I see wrestling a lot like a video game as well, where it's like, it's almost like Street Fighter. You're not going to see in Street Fighter where it's, you can't have
you can beat up Chun-Li, right? I know what you mean.
Right, yeah. Like, everyone can fight and everyone can win at any moment. So, tying that back to my match with Bryn, it's like, just because she's smaller, just because she's a woman, doesn't mean she's not a threat. Because after I won the title and Bryn made that announcement that she wants to face me, there were fans that came up to me and said, "Oh, Bryn's gonna kick your ass." It's like, all right. But it's a good progression for the business, and I think it just creates a lot of opportunities for all of us going forward.
Very good. And like I said, Bryn is a unique athlete herself. She certainly is not your girl next door. She has a lot of fight in her. What's your thoughts on Bryn, the performer, and your thoughts going into the match?
Bryn as a performer is phenomenal. Bryn, she brings the fight for sure. I've gotten the opportunity to share the ring with her a couple times now over the past couple of years, and yeah, she brings the fight for sure. But I plan to bring the fight even more on Saturday, and I promise I'm going to win that match.
All right. This is all part of the Navajo Warriors' last mile. He was the guy who was responsible for starting IZW 25 years ago. And showing my age a little bit, I was at some of those very early shows for IZW. And here we are all these years later, Navajo not officially calling it a career, but pretty much more or less calling it a career. What's your thoughts on what Navajo Warrior has meant to, let's call it Arizona wrestling, but mostly the whole Southwest region?
He's obviously created a lot of opportunities for people in how he's ran IZW and brought people in. He's actually, I was able to touch with him my very first time at IZW at Monster. What year was that? 2023. That's where I debuted for the promotion, and he gave me a chop. He gave me that Navajo chop in the match. And man, let me tell you, that's nothing to mess with.
Very cool. All right, so we have Legends Never Die coming up on Saturday. Is there any other shows you wanted to promote with this opportunity here?
let's see. I have that, and then the following weekend I will have Pride Style Pro out here in Las Vegas, and I believe that will be on. Let me go ahead and grab that calendar real quick. That will be on May 17th, the very next week, and then the following weekend after that, on the 25th, I'll be at Dream Slam Wrestling in a cage match against my best friend, my former best friend and former tag team partner, Alan Breeze, in our little blood feud.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck. And for those who are uninitiated, how could they get in contact with you? How could they follow you on social media?
Yeah, so my social medias, they're going to be the same across all platforms. I'm mainly active on Instagram. I'll hop on Twitter every now and then, just to tweet out my daily mantra, another day, another dollar. But you can find me on both of those at Can't Stop Jamal. That's 2 A's after the N.
All right, man. Well, the IZW World Heavyweight Champion, I can't wait to see you defend it this Saturday. I will be in attendance, and I want to thank you for taking the time to do this with you. I wish you the best of luck.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'll see you on Saturday.
I'll see you on Saturday. Hey, before I let you go, do you mind if I ask for a little favor from you?
Yeah, definitely.
So I used to do this, and then I stopped doing it, and I don't know why I stopped doing it. I used to ask guys for station IDs just to say this is, in your case, Can't Stop Jamal, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter. Any chance I can get one of those from you?
Yeah, it's
Wrestling Epicenter is the name. Yep.
This is Can't Stop Jamal, and you are listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
Perfect, man. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I appreciate you. And if I see you there, I'll let you know who I am. So I'll shake your hand.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, rush.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
You're a maniac, so what you gonna do when the Blaze of Maniac runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, guys. We had a lovely conversation. First lady. Absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Oh, my God. You win. Love being interactive.
Whoa. I was not shooting. Yeah. I almost missed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Let's go. I see my language. You're going to go to the shop. Plenty of no. Into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. Woo. What it's all about. The purest point of view. The living legend. Champion. Arrogant.
You're listening to me.
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you.
So lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive interview with a plastic
You earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire.
We were sexy.
What a show.
The one and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge with this whole. You're where it's at. You better recognize who's the best. Make sure to tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer. Knock down your door and turn it on for you. Or else I'm going to kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line. Have a nice day.
It's showtime!
Don't forget to like and subscribe.